Welcome, welcome. Eric and Dylan, how are we today?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Super glad you could both join us. I'm sure Pat will be on in a second. So we can give it a few seconds. We can kind of just shoot the shit until he shows up. And if he doesn't, then we'll just get to it. So he also might be joining as well. I know it's a little late for her, so we'll see if she ends up joining us or not.
Yeah, talk about doing anything for base. I think it's also a little bit past midnight where so he is. So,
Yep.
but who knows? We might get here last minute.
What's funny is she said about 2 hours ago that she was doing a mini kit session, and I was like, okay, if you happen to be up and ready for another session right after that, let me know. But like, do not prioritize it. Sleep is more important. So hopefully she gets her sleep.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of exciting things going on with Minikit right now too. So excited to chat a little bit about that.
Yeah. That's I'm super excited to get your and Patrick's perspective on it, and then hear a little bit from maybe Dylan and maybe even some comments from people in the session who are using Minikit and some of the other tooling. So we should be prepared for a really interesting session.
Cool.
And and I think Naomi did a really good job of sort of framing what currently exists in the space that people are using to kind of preface to developers, what should they be thinking about building, and what are people currently building.
Eric, I don't know if we've gotten the chance. It's great to get to virtually meet you finally.
Yeah. Likewise.
Yeah.
So much is happening. I feel like all the time there's new people that are in the arena, as they say. So yeah, excited to meet virtually as well.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of arena-ing going on right now everywhere.
Were you
Oh,
at ETH Denver, Dylan?
I was at the base house with Luciano. I didn't go to all the events, but yeah, I was there, which was awesome at the base house, or I guess start of Homebase, technically.
Yeah.
Dylan was grinding out FarHack almost the entire time, thankfully. So we had a nice little platform ready for our mini hackathon. So huge shout out to Dylan for building out FarHack and making sure that was ready. I mean, man almost didn't leave his room, didn't almost didn't leave base house because he was building so much. I couldn't even barely even made it to ETH Denver. So shout out Dylan.
I appreciate it. Well, get ready because it's got rewritten a third time for FarCon Builders Day coming very soon.
Oh man, I'm super excited.
Be cool.
Super excited for FarCon. All right, Patrick is here.
Using
I'm gonna let him
Minikit.
on. And using
Right.
Minikit. Ooh, might have to talk about that later. All right, I'm gonna add Patrick on and we'll get started. Patrick, welcome. Welcome home. Welcome to
Good
base.
morning.
GM. All right, so if Eric, Dylan, Pat, give a quick 20-second intro about yourself, and then we'll go into some of the questions.
Cool. Sure. I can kick it off. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric, eric.base.eth, as you might see me on socials. I lead the DevRel team at Base. I've been building Onchain since 2017. I'm a former Onchain founder as well, so I've gone through the founder journey and got to experience all that. It was an amazing experience. And then have spent a lot of time working with like different developer communities, from the smart contract security space to vibe coding with AI. So yeah, super excited to chat with everybody today. I guess I'll kick it over to Dylan.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everyone. Super excited to be here. I'm Dylan, dillstack.eth or dillstack.base.eth. I just started at Base about like a month and a half or so ago. I'm an engineer working on Coinbase Wallet. Really excited to be able to talk about it more soon, but I'm sure you guys know there's a lot of changes going on there. And I'm just really excited as well about mini apps, what we offer with Minikit, a whole bunch of other tooling, and just seeing what everyone's built. Feels like it's a really exciting time. So great to be here. And thank you, Luciano, and everyone for organizing. And I will pass it over to Patrick.
Thank you and welcome, Dylan. Hey everyone, Patrick. I've been in crypto since about like 2018, and have been at Coinbase for about 3 years now. Actually, the Coiniversary is like this week, so this is officially 3 years. But I've been on Base for maybe about like 9 months or so as DevRel. So I'm working with Eric, and we've built out this team, and it's awesome, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being based. Really appreciate both. So I'm gonna start with asking Eric a question, and then I'll just kind of go around asking each a question. But feel free, if the question that I ask Eric, you also want to jump in and answer. Feel free to just go for it, and then we'll just move on after you all are done answering to a point that you're happy with. So first, Eric, let's start with you. Let's just start with very simple. What is base and why?
Yeah. We have a common refrain people have likely heard before, but it really is the best way to explain base is it's a global on-chain economy that's increasing innovation, creativity, and freedom. But beyond that, like getting a little bit more into the why base side of things, like what is Base? Base is a globally available platform that provides sub-cent, sub-second transactions that's available to anybody in the world. It's a place for builders. We have an amazing developer community, non-technical founders, creators, technical founders, super cracked engineers. We have an incredible community of folks that help everybody else build in the open, build in public. And then beyond that, like, of course, on our side, we're building tons of dev tooling. We provide a lot of support that goes beyond just, how do you get to production? I like to say build on base, thrive on base, because it's not just about the building part, it's about the thriving part as well. And making sure that once you're in production, you still have all the support that you need to really be successful on base. And then I think the last part of it is like base is a place to earn, right? It's a place to earn for builders who are shipping and creating these awesome apps in these new distribution pipelines. It's a place for creators to take advantage of the fact that we're taking away a lot of the margin that is normally captured by centralized platforms and sharing that with creators and innovating on that frontier. So base is a place to earn as well. So I'll leave it at that. But those are the things that immediately come to mind to me. I'm sure that Dylan and Pat have some other things to add to that as well.
Is that true, Dylan or Pat? What is base to you, and why?
Sure, I'm happy to take my own stab at it. So I think the overview Eric just gave was awesome. At the core, Base is an Ethereum L2. Makes it really easy to get on chain and do things on chain. You can connect easily to your Coinbase account. You can use tools like smart wallets to make it really easy and have defaults like taking assets from your Coinbase account and then moving them over to Base to be able to interact with this on-chain economy. Base works all across the world. There's also a really cool emerging sector of stable coins per region, which maybe if you're on Farcaster or Twitter, you've seen Jesse posting a lot recently. And we have a bunch of different ways to amplify developers through programming like this, the Base Builders program, On-Chain Kit and Mini Kit, Coinbase Developer Platform and Agent Kit. Those four that I mentioned are really just tools for you to build any sort of project and to get all of the advantages we have, like Coinbase APIs, paymasters, all the above. And really just creating this ecosystem of people who are excited to build on Base, like the fact that you, Luciano, as a community member, take this much initiative to be excited about Base, or that people want to build frames and mini apps on Base. That is one of the most like inspiring things, and to me kind of defines why I think a lot of people choose to build on Base and why like I did when I first found out about it.
Wait, Dylan, are you the DevRel or they're the DevRel? No, I'm kidding.
No, they're just my thoughts.
So you guys both hit on two really important pieces, and I'm going to throw it over to Pat for the same question. Is you talked about some of the like use cases, the products, and then you both said the why was the network effect. So I think it's really interesting that most people, when they say why base, of course, like the use cases do matter and those builds do matter, but the network effect continues to remain king. And do you guys have any reason why you think like that network effect is so strong on Base specifically?
I'm happy to jump in if the other guys will let me. I think that if you just keeping it too high level before going in a rabbit hole, which sometimes I like to do, is that if you look at how like the new online, not just on chain, but online world organized itself, it's all about the community of people, right? And more the competitive moat, for lack of a better phrase, really is your community. And we're incredibly blessed to have this awesome community that's just like at a fever pitch, looking to jump in however they can, contribute, be a part of the movement. And that's something that, like, the amount of leverage that has is massive, right? Like, it's very hard to create the amount of lift that community can create, no matter how big your team is, no matter how cracked you are. Like, it's not until you tap into that like global distributed community that you really get this, just like all of a sudden you see that hockey stick curve happen. And so I think that's why we often talk about the community. We place so much emphasis on the community, is because that's what it gives to like everybody else in the community. And that's the beautiful part about it. It's like this very symbiotic aspect of building in the public, supporting each other. It all kind of like boomerangs back to you when you invest in that community.
It is very reflexive.
Yeah, I also think like from a practical standpoint, like the number one thing I hear from people in crypto is that like they want more users. And how do you get more users? You have more like distribution ways to reach those users. And I think like the base team and the base community has been very intentional about knowing like what things builders need and providing it. So whether it's amplifying a retweet or different programs, and I think like one of the best things to see is like not just how on it everyone is in terms of embracing like new ideas or what the meta is, but also understanding again like these core things that builders actually really want that aren't just great to have on a website or say you do, but really matter when you think about the results and where it's going to bring a builder.
You bring up a great point that Base caters to developers. So, Pat, maybe it'd be a good question to ask you, like, how does Base cater to developers, and how do they do it so well? How do you do it so well?
Yeah, I think it's a collective effort in order to do this, right? I mean, yes, we have this awesome team that creates awesome developer tool, Onchain Kit, we have the Coinbase developer platform, right? We make our documents open source, right? Open source is actually a really big part of Base and building on chain. And again, that community aspect, that's actually what brought me here, right? It's like, have you ever seen something where you can contribute to, you can add on to, and it take effect and it kind of changes around you, right? So, for example, like on the off-chain world, right? I am I'm like a level 5 like Google Maps guide thing, right? Contributing photos and giving
That's great.
reviews, right? But I haven't got jack from Google, right?
Right.
But
Never will,
but if
yeah.
exactly. But if I contribute to Farcast, or if I contribute to a community, I can earn from it. I can help others with what I post, and also receive something from it. So I think one of the biggest ways that we help developers today is obviously through our open sourcing our tools, our products, and things like that, and then working with the community. I kind of think it's also great to talk about base batches. This thing is fire, right? So first off, like,
Sick.
we hear from the community of like, hey, we want funding, recognition, we want technical help, we want support from Base. Like, Base Batches is that thing all in one. It's an incubator, it's a build-a-thon, it's a way to get funding, it's a way to grow, it's a way to get recognition for all your hard work. And I guess we'll talk more about it later. I'm sure it'll come up, but that's one of the ways. Again, like, we are helping developers not just grow their product, but get that virality and outreach.
I mean, it sounds so simple, like, just listening to developers, like, it sounds like something super simple to do, but obviously, like, most ecosystems don't do it. And like I said to Tom on the earlier session, right, like, it has just become consensus within the last, like, 2-3 years that we need to focus on, like, these hackathon projects past the hackathon itself. So, like, it's really important that we create this, like, new set of infrastructure, this new process, for builders to be able to tap in hackathon style, but also, keep building thereafter and get the support they need. Base Batches is absolutely brilliant, and I'm super glad I get to support it, and super glad you guys are running it up. But like, how I guess, Eric, let's pass it over to you. How do you end up actually determining like this is the solution, and how do you prove to not only internally, like, to yourselves, but how do you get external validation?
Well, I think it's all those pieces, right? I'd say that everything we do is like data driven, hypothesis based. So you have this data-driven input of, how many people are building on Base. We have a lot of internal metrics for that. And how do you try and move that needle? We have a super tight feedback loop with the devs in our community, listening to them, technical, non-technical, that whole cohort. And then from that feedback, you form a hypothesis, right? Like all of us are aware of the fact that, the existing hackathon circuit, while it does catalyze builders and it provides benefits beyond maybe just like going from hacker to founder, but the pain point being that everybody is trying to go hacker to founder and you're trying to build these products that are more sustainable. And so then the hypothesis is right now as well, we think that there's a very clear way that we can extend and elongate what used to be this point in time moment of a hackathon to this longer, long-bodied initiative that takes you all the way through the flow. I'm sure there's going to be things that, come the end of base batches number 1 that we're going to look at and be like, okay, base batches number 2, this is how we're going to do it differently. This is how we're going to improve. But it's just that process. And that's why we really push not just for ourselves, but for everybody building our communities, like build in the public, right? Mm-hmm. Like your unique value proposition. We have a unique value proposition at Base, right? Like anything that exists has a unique value proposition. And as a builder, you want to be testing that as ruthlessly as possible. And the best way to do that is build it in the open, let everybody roast it, let yourself fall on your face and learn from it. And so that's just, I guess, taking a little bit of our internal methodology and trying to get everybody who's listening to say, like, don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Get it out there. Get that feedback. And that's how you're going to be able to either one, know, hey, okay, we're hitting the mark, but here's some things that we can do better. Or like, man, we're totally off the mark, but a bunch of people have asked for this thing and maybe we can like target that and find something that's really valuable there.
Yeah, I think that level of iteration is really, really important. And Dylan, Patrick, is there any, how do you see this kind of iteration?
I was just going to kind of add on to Eric's point. I think one of the things that I learned, when I transitioned from the insto side to Base, it was the shipping speed of just ruthlessly just deploying something, shipping something, doesn't matter how small, how big, right? Just moving the needle forward and making mistakes, being vulnerable, and then fixing them, right? Like, this version of Base batches is probably going to be really good, but the next one is going to be even better because the feedback loop, the way the team cares about like feedback, collecting feedback, and then iterating and making it better. I'm super excited for that. And so I think it's really about, the shipping speed, being vulnerable, allow yourself to get roasted, right? But there's positivity behind it. People aren't just roasting you for a reason, right? They want to see you do better. They want your app, your product, whatever you're putting out there to be better. So it's good vibes.
It does build momentum too, like really healthy momentum for whatever you're building. And when you're iterating like that and you finally actually make something people actually want to use, you now have found real product market fit, hopefully. So, and I think this is why there's so much momentum within the Base builder community, because, if Base itself is building in this way, that needs to be done, others recognize it and they share in the ethos and they do the same thing. And effort does equal outcome in that way.
Yeah, I'm going to hop in real quickly too, because to carry the thread to its next step about like shipping quickly.
Yeah.
That's why we do things like, we started these Base builder quests at Denver. We did our third one last week with MiniKit, and they're 24 hours. And there's a reason for that, right? It's like you can today get something to market in 24 hours. It might not be the prettiest thing. It might not have all the features you wanted it to have, but it will be in market and you will get feedback on it. And it's a lot easier to improve something that exists than to create something for the very first time. So just like make it exist and then iterate on it. And it's easier to do that than just try and like start from nothing and get caught in this loop of like, oh, if I just add this one more thing or that one more thing when I go to market, it'll feel better because it's a little bit more polished. Like get beyond that and like challenge yourself. Like sit down and say, I got 24 hours or less, right? Like a lot of folks, it's 24 hours because it's global, but most people are building these things in 3-4 hours, if not less. Be on the lookout. At some point, we're going to do like a 1-hour Base builder quest, right? Like get to market, and it's possible today. So just work that muscle.
A really good example of that is new people to Farcaster who are now just building mini apps like almost as soon as they come to Farcaster. They're like, oh, like what's this cool thing? I'm on this new app. Oh, a mini app. Oh, like let me see if I can build one. Literally within a couple hours, they already have something up. They already have feedback on it. It's really incredible to see. Whether it's like some fantastic product or not. I mean, to actually have real distribution for an app that you built like instantly is really really special. So all right, thank you guys so much for kicking off the sort of what is base and why session. I think that was absolutely perfect. Now let's start moving on a little bit into what's on base and what excites you most about what's being built on base currently, and what excites you the most in general.
Dylan, do you want to kick this one off? I know that we've been chatting a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what excites me building on base, I've been very focused on mini apps, so I think that is really exciting. If you don't know, I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but we have MiniKit, which is built on top of Onchain Kit. Onchain Kit is a React-based framework you can install, and it gives you a bunch of benefits for building an app, connecting with Smart Wallet, funding via Apple Pay, showing mints, swaps, bunch of stuff, and it's used by like top tier teams and also by Coinbase products. And so you can tell that it's like it covers you getting started, but it also covers you scaling into a very robust product. And then on top of that, we have MiniKit, which is you get all the benefits of on-chain kit, but on top of it, we do all of the stuff that's a little bit more annoying with setting up a mini app. We generate the manifest, which is like the file that tells an app like Warpcast that it's an okay mini app. We set up notifications for you, all this extra stuff. And so you just get an example app and you can go in and with a tool like Cursor, V0, whatever, like start building a really cool on-chain app, especially because we are going to be having this distribution coming up in Coinbase Wallet. I think it's just an awesome time to be building mini apps. And although there are so many different great things being built on base, I think this is one of the most exciting. And if you are already building an app on base or in crypto in general, it is very easy for you to toggle these mini app settings and just get the extra benefits of that distribution. So I'll just leave it at that for now. But if you guys have anything else to add on, take it away.
Awesome. I said base batches. I'm gonna say one more thing. I'm not gonna go too much in detail because I think Yusuf is gonna be way better at talking about this. But it's base MCP, and going beyond just like AI agents, like we know you can build AI agents, and we have Agent Kit for that. We just open source base MCP, so it gives LLMs easier access to functions and using them on chain. It's like a server, right? But I have this theory that with AI and through like MCP, we're gonna have an era where just crypto is kind of baked into normal, like what we would think is like Web2 apps, just because it's so much easier to integrate now with AI. And there's going to be more servers. There's going to be more APIs that are going to be available to these LLMs. Or it's like, well, why not just have a payment system on base? Why wouldn't we? Right? It's only going to cost us an extra hour or so of developer time. So outside of base batches, I'm excited for the bridge that AI has created for crypto. I'm excited for us to bring. I think that's going to help us bring the world on chain.
You're completely right. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll just build off what they both said. I think circling back to Dylan's point about distribution with mini apps, one example I'll just throw out there, and I don't have the exact number, but their Farcade is a mini app on Farcaster that anybody can bring a game to. And they had this stat that somebody basically built a game overnight, and then the next day it had thousands of plays. And that's something that's impossible with like the traditional app distribution pipeline, right? It's like you have to, get into the store, get approval, get it in people's hands. People have to go download it. Like that, you skip all of that. It's just like your app is suddenly getting played by thousands of people, leveraging the network effects that everybody's already used to. And it's just incredibly powerful. Like anybody who's listening who hasn't had a chance to take a look at mini apps, just in general, really encourage you to look at MiniKit if you want to build, but just try them, play them, get a feel for it, see the social sharing aspect of it, and you'll get a sense of like, okay, there's like, I might not know exactly how the future of distribution is going to look, but this is definitely going to be a huge part of it. So that's super exciting. Check that out. Outside of the things that Pat and Dylan talked about, I think that obviously like smart wallet and all the advancements that have happened in the user experience side of crypto has been really game changing in the last 2 years. So excited about that. I'm excited about like all these really cool features in smart wallet, native on ramp, gasless transactions, pass keys for authentication, sub accounts for managing disparate embedded apps. Like that's even still, I like today scrolling through the feed, I see people talking about kind of the fragmented wallet experience that's a result of embedded apps. I think this was just today that friend.tech or something is switching away from embedded accounts, which is causing pain points for people. Sub account solves all of that, right? So like you could have set up your friend.tech embedded account, tied it to your Coinbase smart wallet, and now when you see this announcement that they're moving away from it, you wouldn't have to do anything. You know that you have access over your account. And so that's really a big part of like what's happening on Base. Like what are these things that we're doing? Is a lot of it is like, how do we create this user experience that's just like super cohesive and isn't just like the same as off chain, it's better than off chain. Because now all of a sudden when you sign into an application, it's not just authenticating to log you in and get access to your data. It's like you log in and you have all of your finances brought into it, all of your on-chain data, everything that you own on the internet comes with you to the application. And that creates this, like, there's going to be some really exciting things that come out of that.
I couldn't agree more. And to both your points, I mean, it's only being abstracted away more and more as time goes on. So it's going to get to the point where people really don't even really see what's going on under the hood. It's just going to happen the way that they expect it to.
Yeah, one other thing too that I'll just add that's maybe a little bit more on the simple side of things, but it's still super important is like stable coins. Like that's happening on Base right now in a really, really big way, where you have a lot of these global currencies that are now coming on chain and providing people of all sorts of different nationalities access on chain and their stable local currency. And I think that's a really powerful way to see the benefits of just like why on chain. Like you look at doing a foreign exchange between, the US dollar and euro is one example that we provided a while back. It's been a while now that you've been able to do that, which is really cool. But, instant like fraction of a percentage swap fees on international currencies, which is something that's never been done before. And it's happening on Base. And as these stable coins grow, the amount of just like relatively simple but massive utility plays, like being able to move money across borders, move money between currencies in a single click without needing to really even think about it, having access to your own money, like all of those things sometimes we forget to talk about because it's become common for us. But I think it's really important to keep talking about it for everybody who's still coming on chain, because those value propositions still, I think, have some of the largest utility of the things that are happening on chain.
I definitely agree. Any final thoughts, Dylan, Pat? All right. So I think that just about covers why we are all so excited about the future of Base and to build on Base. Now I want to go into a little bit about how builders can get started on Base and some of the resources that they should be focused on. First, I'm gonna say anyone who is listening right now, please put in your Base ENS name. If you don't have a Base name, let us know. Maybe at the end of the session, we'll show you how to get one. So everyone put in your ENS, put in your ETH address, put in your Base name, whatever you currently have available, put it in the chat, and we'll make sure that you get a PO-up and maybe some other fun things.
Also, I'm going through the chat. I see this question about MiniKit with distribution in Coinbase Wallet. I just wanted to really quickly touch on when the time is right, there will be more information available publicly. What I can kind of say is using MiniKit will make it even easier to make sure that your app works seamlessly across both clients. For example, there may be one thing or something that's written that works a certain way in Warpcast, but maybe works a different way in another app. And so MiniKit helps you in many different ways, but it should also help make it so that your mini app will just work out of the box in Warpcast, in Coinbase Wallet, or other clients that come about. And again, we'll have more info as the time is right, but just wanted to kind of address that in the meantime.
Yeah, thanks. I was actually going to ask you to address that. Okay, great. So now that that's done, we're going to move on to a little bit about how builders can get started on Base. Where's the best place to go? What's top of funnel? And what are the best resources? So feel free to take it off. Whoever wants to go ahead and start.
I guess I'll take a stab, and then if Eric or Dylan has anything else to add, then they can hop in. But I believe if you are, a Web2 developer, may have coded an app in the past, and you're like, what is this, like on-chain stuff? I just want to wet my feet a little bit. What do I do? I would definitely head over to like Onchain Kit, clone a template app, and play around with it. Look through the project. The project structure, get familiar with VM, WAGMI, like these sorts of libraries that are tried and true. There's a big ecosystem, right? If you're looking for help and you're using WAGMI, VM, Onchain Kit, you're going to have thousands of developers who are going to be able to help you with that, right? So I think that's one of the best places to start. So check out the Agent Kit replit, create an on-chain agent, right? Mini kit, again, like all the things that we're sharing with you. They may be new, they may be old, but there's so many people that are going to be able to help you with these things, right? Sohi, who wasn't here, she did a workshop last week on it. There's a recording for it. She built a guide on how to use MiniKit, right? And so this thing was just released, and there's so many people who are building with it. We did the BBQ, so the builder quest, right? So not only do you have reference applications you can check out, look at their GitHubs, clone, right? Try and tweak it and make it your own. We have guides, tutorials, and things like that. And obviously, check out our docs@base.org. And there's also base.org/builders, our builder site. You can build an app in 10 minutes. Like, again, like I don't want to like gloss over this, right? You can build an app in 10 minutes that has authentications, payments. You can have users log into your app, start getting like this thing. Like building on chain is the way to go, especially if you're new to development. Like, why not build where the future is going? Why not build part of a global on-chain economy, right? Your first user might be somewhere in Europe, Asia, like completely across the globe. So that's how I would say like get started. I don't know if you
let's say this person has no context whatsoever in terms of crypto. What is one resource you would give them?
One advice?
One resource, like one link.
Resource.
Yeah. One website, one doc, one, and you only got one.
What'd you say, Eric?
I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious.
I was gonna say the same thing too.
Okay, that's what I was expecting all this.
Right? Yeah. And really, it's like, obviously, there's a bias, no doubt. But I think that this is something that is, like I said, I've been building on chain since 2017, and what building on chain has changed drastically. There is, with any new innovative technology, a lot of information which can cause information analysis paralysis, and it's also sometimes really hard to decipher, like, what is the value behind this, right? Like, where am I going to go with this? Like, there's all these new terms, there's all these new like aspects of the tech stack I need to think about. Like, well, what's the real value? And I think that base.org, we have a lot of really helpful resources for people to begin to understand that. Two, base.org/builders, it gives you an overview of all the different tools that are available to you to start building on chain. And I actually even think, to Pat's point, is like, what's the best way to learn about something? There's really no better way than to like do it, to feel it. And because we have template repos, you don't even need to code a single line. You can spin up a template repo. Soon we'll have like, Vercel templates where you don't even need to like do anything locally. It'll just instantly be available for you. Like, that's a great way for you to start to feel the effects and feel, okay, this is what's happening on chain. So that, I think, would be like one really great, just like if you have to pick only one resource to go to. And kind of like along those lines, even if you have no coding experience, you can build it in 10 minutes, vibe coding with AI. And we're doing a lot to make sure that that's super easy, right? Like we're making iterative updates to our LMS.txt files that are on our docs.base.org. They're specific to each of our products that the AI agents can really easily parse that. You can just copy paste that into your context. And then also Onchain Kit, I think it's an awesome library of React components and TypeScript utilities that gives you kind of the full, if you're really high level, you can just grab the components. If you want to get into the nitty gritty, you can grab the API endpoints. It gives you kind of that full customization that you want. And then grab your LMS.txt file, throw it in Cursor, and all of a sudden you're off to the races with all the context you need to build a really cool app. And what's great about those components is we've also built them out to solve a lot of the most common pain points. And so by going through implementing those components, you start to get a feel of what the different aspects of building on chain feels like. It's like, oh, there's an on-ramp here. If you've never built on chain before, you might not know that there's a pain point for getting users off-chain funds on chain. But you see this on-ramp feature, you're like, oh, okay, this solves something for me. So just go through those components and you'll start to get a really good knack for like what is on chain and what does it feel like to build on chain.
I think that's probably the perfect place for most people to start. I mean, I'm thinking about from like a young person's perspective who's still in college and they don't have much time to like learn outside of like their current curriculum, but they want to and they will. They just need to find that one thing to focus on, and I think that's exactly it. Where they already have some context around how some of this build works. Now they just need some context around like how this build would work in crypto specifically, some of the components that they would need, and if it's all in one place for them, just kind of get an idea of, oh, I can plug this in, here's what it solves. I can plug this in, here's what it solves. Didn't know that was a problem, but like I see, how it would be, and then they can just sort of ideate through, why those problems are actually a solution. Dylan, Dylan, what would you say is the best place to start for a base developer?
Yeah, I think like using AI to make a project, before AI, like how I first got into coding was like building projects. And I think now with AI, you can do it even more. There are all these tools. We have things like the LLMs.txt file, MCP server. So I would definitely, like, if you're just trying to start out, I would say set aside a small amount of time and find one of these tools you can use that works well for you. Maybe it's literally just starting with chat GPTing the full LLMs.txt file. Maybe you want to go as far as using something like Cursor or V0, which I would recommend. But like getting familiar with those tools will go such a long way, and you'll be so surprised of like if you download Cursor, put in the LLMs.txt file, and throw in some crazy idea with the agent mode, there's like a very good possibility that you'll get most of the way there on your first like try or couple. And so I would just highly recommend like using all of those tools and trying to make the most of them. And it will like get you like to that. Once you get to that first point where you have some sort of aha, I think that's when you will actually want to put in more of that investment. And so I would just recommend use those tools and really try and push yourself to get to a moment like that in the shortest amount of time. Like it may seem a little crazy in the moment, but when you get to that moment, not only is it going to feel great because you'll be able to build so much, but I think you'll realize that you'll get there a lot quicker than you thought you could.
So this kind of brings me on to my next question as well, which is, so let's assume that this developer that you're bringing on already does have an app off chain in Web 2 or something of that sort. How would you convince them to rebuild it or build it within this ecosystem? Dylan, I'm just going to ask you since.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Well, I think there are a lot of benefits. Like, for example, let's say that someone is creating a payments app or they've never added payments to their app. There are just so many benefits that you get from building on chain and building with Base, especially if you compare it to a platform like Stripe, which does great things. But if you just want to set up an initial payment, um, good luck doing the Stripe comparison versus the Base comparison. I think Base, you can maybe get that set up in even like a couple of minutes. And so I think it's like it's different depending on who you're talking to, but I think it's figuring out what is the pain point, or what are the things that that person is using, building on, etc., and then figure out how you can like flip the value prop of things building on chain, whether it's you get the social graph from platforms like Farcaster and base names. You're more focused on the payment sector. You're more focused on building something consumer that gets out to other people. So I think it's kind of hard to overwhelm someone and give them all the different reasons why. But I would figure out what those different things are. And I think especially if it is payments, you have a really cool opportunity to get them to just be like, why was I not doing this before? You know?
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Patrick, I have another question for you specifically. So
So,
your job is focused more around onboarding developers, but how do you see onboarding consumers and regular people to base, and how does that bring more developers for you?
yeah, like do you mean like me specifically or
Yeah, like you
just
specifically. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean this is something I do like kind of on my day to day, but it you try not to sound like a lunatic, right? Because you're like, I'm on chain. Like they're like, dude, get away from me. No, but
But yeah,
right,
Jesse pulling up to them like, yo, get on chain.
right, yeah. Like, you want $50? No, I don't want free money. No, I'm trying to bring you to freedom. No, I think it varies, right? Because I have friends who are in the creative camp. I have friends who are in like the business side of things, right? I have friends who are in the fitness side. And like, so I'll give you an example. So one of my coaches, he, obviously is a really great coach. He, does CrossFit and all this other stuff. I'm helping
Was he
him
coach of
one more
what?
time. Oh, like
Was he,
CrossFit?
oh, for CrossFit. Okay, got it.
Yeah, no worries. And helping him helping him bring his business on chain through doing like token gated videos, streaming, and things like that. People like my mom, like I'm like, yo, mom, check out like this thing called Moonwell. Like you can like have your money in there. She's like, dude, I don't want to have
Yeah,
to manage anything like here. Like I'm like, you should try it, right?
yeah.
Or my brother who recently moved to Austin, and he's thinking about doing like creating content around like his journey of like kind of like out of college and like
Mm,
growing. And honestly, I'm gonna show him Naomi's sort of like journey, and like hopefully we can get this like clipped up and stuff like that. But that is the perfect thing, right? And you mentioned college students. I think on chain is ripe for college students. Not only can you build an app really quickly, take some of the learnings that you've learned in class, build an app, and then get distribution. But even that $20 that you may earn from Farcaster, like it goes a long way in college. Like on that Friday, you get that $20, you can go order some Domino's or something like that, right? Like it goes a long way when you're
no,
a
legit.
college yeah, right. And you're at one of the most like creative times of your life as well. Like things are flowing. There's a lot of things happening on campus, right? And so if you can post some stuff on Zora and have people mint it and trade it, like man, like your eyes will open up to why on chain is the way. And I think that's like the thing for people is like you got to show them right
Mhm.
why it's the way. You can't just like say like it's about freedom and this on chain economy. You have to like let me bring you in. You got to hold their
Yeah.
hand and take them in.
No, it's a really good point because 5 years ago, like when I was still in college, if Warpcast existed and we got to experience it, we'd be like, wait, not only is it a better version of Twitter, but we also get paid for casting. Like that's fucking
Exactly.
crazy, Like
Yeah.
it's Farcaster got to be blowing up actually around like college campuses for that reason now. But if it's not, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Um, all right. If anyone want to take that question on, feel free. But I think you answered it fairly well.
I'll jump in, actually. I'll just a couple of
Yeah,
random thoughts after I was listening to Dylan and Pat. But bridging back to Dylan's point about like answering the why on chain question, or like how do you bring off chain devs? I do think this is a really important point because there's been a lot of hemming and hawing in the like kind of on chain marketing world, and like what are we doing? Have we figured this out yet? And I think Dylan like hit the nail on the head with a big part of the problem is that you can do literally anything on chain. So like why Onchain has a million different answers to it. And so for anybody out there who's maybe a builder and they're trying to evangelize for themselves, is like one of the most valuable things you can do is seek and discover the people you're trying to reach. What is it that kind of like turns the light bulb on for them and creates this burning need where it's like, I have to have that. And that's what you want to speak to. And so whatever you're doing on chain, if you can find that, you'll be successful in communicating the why on chain to other people. A good example of this, I think, because we love talking about mini apps right now, is like you can take any app right now. It doesn't matter how big it is, add MiniKit to it, and it's a mini app. And all of a sudden, you get social distribution that can't be disrupted. You can't be deplatformed like Farmville was with Facebook, right? That's not going to happen to you. And you're getting access to these different like evolving creator economies, network economies. Like we talked about the importance of community. Like you like avoid the bootstrapping problem. If you have anything that's social, like don't try and like build your own network effects. It already exists with the social graph from Farcaster. That's something that like I think most people just don't have any understanding of. It's like you can build an app today and it is strapped with hundreds of thousands of people.
Right.
Period. Right. Hundreds of thousands of users by making it a mini app, having it in the Farcaster feed. It's incredibly, incredibly powerful. So I just want to point out kind of those two different things. One, find the unique value proposition for other people and speak to that specifically, nothing else. Like I love Onchain for all the ethos. People don't want to hear it anymore from me. They're tired of it. So find the thing they care about. And two, like as far as social goes, avoid the bootstrapping problem. Most apps these days are going to have some type of network component, even financial. We're seeing a lot of financial apps bring in social components and make them more like community oriented. So there's almost always a way that you can bring in the social graph. And so this is something I challenge people is like, ask yourself, like, how can I go grab this building block of thousands of users in a network graph and bring it into my app in a meaningful way and really create a bunch of distribution off of that. Yeah. So, and then I think to the question about like bringing folks on chain, like to Pat's question that you asked him is like, there's all these new things that you can do and experiment with that are honestly just a lot of fun. Like you open up like your Coinbase wallet and you start playing with different apps that are out there, experiencing the different creator things that you can do, following along with things like Crypto the Game, these new social experiments that are happening on chain that are in the open. Anybody can join basically a digital survivor. That's super cool. You know, I think by just getting people in the door and experiencing things, seeing how they can make money off of like, you know, Jesse earlier today was talking about how people coin his posts and he's not doing anything. He's just posting like he normally was. Like one of the most exciting moments for me with Farcaster was like when all of a sudden I saw my like posts get a big amplification and I was like, oh, well, like what's going on here? And then I was like, oh, it's because somebody built a new client that's surfacing my content in a different way. And I didn't do anything, but all of a sudden there's a whole new form of distribution. So like some of these things that it's really hard to explain to somebody unless they've just like gotten in the door. So get them in the door as much as you can. Shoot them a text. Hey, try out Farmville. You know, like join Crypto the Game.
I assume even people who work at Twitter probably have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? Like these people, they're building like the alternative, right? And like they come to Farcaster and like, whoa, like take a step back. I haven't seen any sort of this mechanism before. Nothing like it. You know, so it's really impressive to have an ecosystem like Farcaster exist right now.
Definitely. Cool. That's my piece.
No, absolutely incredible. It's really important stuff. And yes, super glad you could give your 2 cents. So on to our next question. So let's talk a little bit about safety and OPSEC. So if there's, let's say, a few key pieces when you're onboarding someone to crypto, what are the first few things you would tell them to stay safe?
Okay, I'll take this. I'll precaution. These are my own personal thoughts. I think you should approach it as general web safety, and you may run into some of this stuff more in crypto, but you want to have a good password manager. You want your stuff to be saved properly. look out for things people are doing. Like, for example, a lot of like YouTube videos I see about crypto, you see these responses and it's like, oh, I want help with XYZ. This is the seed phrase to my Binance wallet. I think you can understand what things look like obvious spam. Make sure when you're looking on, clicking on specific links, when you're using a bunch of different wallets, be very cognizant of which ones are linked to public identities like your base name, your Farcaster account, which ones you're trading in. I think hopefully some of this stuff is also secured by the fact that platforms like Coinbase Smart Wallet make it so that you're not writing down a mnemonic and you're saving a passkey and it works across all these platforms. I would just be very vigilant the same way you are with anything else, but just be especially cognizant because this is financial and it's going to happen even around your friends. Like, what if a friend gets hacked and they're promoting a token that's a scam? So just like, not saying that's always going to happen, but it's just be very diligent and on guard and take precautions that you would or think you should in general, maybe just to an extra degree.
Yeah, I would add on to a little bit what Dylan said, and by saying like, especially if I'm talking to someone like super new to crypto, honestly, I would recommend the Coinbase Smart Wallet. Right, you don't need to remember your pass keys or your passphrase or anything like that. Your mnemonic, right? You can secure it with your pass key. Sorry, with your pass key is your fingerprint, your biometrics. There's also a way to recover your account as well, which is that's not something you can traditionally do with a crypto wallet. The second thing is with your Coinbase wallet slash smart wallet, we surface some of the top apps that are used, right? And so these are tried and true apps. These apps have thousands of users daily. This is like Moonwell, Aerodrome, right? I would kind of stick with those, and also we have like these safety features in there that say like, hey, you may be interacting with a bad smart contract, a bad application, so heed the warnings. I know the narrative is you got to move fast in crypto, but when it comes to security, move a little bit slower and take your time. These are your funds, and treat them well.
Cool. I'll top it off, and I'm going to beat the dead horse here because I think it's super important. Is Coinbase Wallet, of course, but the most important thing here is the passkey. Like Coinbase Wallet using Smart Wallet with a passkey. If you would prefer not to use Coinbase Wallet, find a smart wallet with a passkey, because passkeys are incredibly robust, recoverable, and secure. Way more than anything else that's ever existed for online authentication. Not only is Coinbase Smart Wallet recoverable, the passkey is incredibly recoverable. I spent a lot of time in this space. I helped write the spec for authenticating passkeys on chain before there was a pre-compile for it. This is like a hill I'll die on. Your passkey stored in iCloud or Google Cloud is the most secure private key storage you'll ever get. So use it. Make sure that your passkey is backed up, but that will keep you incredibly secure. It's not a honeypot like 1Password. Even if you can store your passkey in 1Password, because even if somebody gets your passkey, can't use it without your biometrics. You can't accidentally use your passkey on an invalid URL because the passkey is tied to the URL. Anyways, I can go on and on. There's a lot of great articles out there, but passkeys are super important. Number two, most important thing is your wallets are the same online as they are in the physical world. If you're aping into things, go for it. That's great. I still believe fast is slow, or slow is fast, but a hot wallet should be like the wallet you carry to the store or whatever. It's like, don't have more money in that than you can really afford to lose. If you're seeing a meaningful amount of money in there, have a more secure place that you're not touching as often to move those funds over. Because it happens to everybody. The best of us have lost money in things, and so just make sure that you're managing your risk and storing your meaningful funds in like a secure, ideally mostly offline place.
On a long enough time frame, every hot wallet gets hacked. That's for sure. That's absolutely incredible stuff. I'll top it off with not your keys, not your coins. Make sure not to share your keys. And if you're going to use something like Coinbase Smart Wallet, yeah, make sure you secure your passkey. And if people do want to go create a Coinbase Smart Wallet right now, I believe they go to Coinbase.com.
Wallet, I believe, but maybe yeah, wallet.
Wallet.coinbase.com, but or however, if you go to any like on-chain kit or any app that's using on-chain kit, it's already pre-built. So again, it's like you create this app, you're like, hey, check out my app. You know, you send that to your friend, they're like, I don't have a wallet. Well, they can just create one on the fly right there in seconds, right? So you know, they don't have to do any of the thinking. We've tried to make the UX really smooth for not only creating wallets but essentially onboarding users. So, yep.
All right. We have one more question for everyone today, and then we can get out of here. You guys can get your time back. But I want to just get into a little bit more around AI. Obviously, it's been extremely exciting time. I know Pat touched a little bit about it earlier and why he's excited about it. But I just want to ask you guys, what do you see as the most prominent AI tooling on Base right now, and why, and where do you see that heading?
Clarifying question, AI tooling being AI tooling for devs or tools for AIs?
Tools for AI. So it could like something like Clanker or something like any one of the other like AI agent sort of tooling. I guess you could also shill some dev tooling as well.
I can give a really quick answer, but if it's okay, I'm gonna give an answer for both of them, for developers and like as a
Okay.
product.
Yeah, let's do it.
As a product, there's this really cool tool called Ohara.ai that's built
Mhm.
on Base. If you've used like V0 or Bolt or whatever, it is essentially like that, except it has things like on-chain kit already built in, and you can create coins out of your app, which is really cool. Like if we had more time, the tangent I would go on, as I think software as content is something that a Base and this mini app ecosystem is really well positioned for. So Ohara is cool for a bunch of different reasons, but that and the Base MCP, I think, are awesome tools for developers. I think from the actual product perspective, Clanker as well as like BankerBot and Deployer have been some of the really coolest ones. And just in terms of the effects that they create, and again, like how things become content in the moment, I think there are a bunch more opportunities, but those are some of the largest ones I've seen.
Patrick, Eric?
Yeah, I think I love Clanker, so +1 on that. I think also Virtuals is a super cool tool for on-chain agents. There's been a lot of buzz around that. And then I'm just gonna bring up Base MCP again. I think that this is like an awesome tool for any use case, any layer of the stack. And I think that as we see model context protocol, that's what MCP is, get more widely adopted. We recently saw OpenAI adopt it, Google's adopted it, like Anthropic set the lead with it, and others are kind of following in line. We're going to see a lot of really cool apps being built with it. It's kind of dual purpose, right? It provides you with all that information. You can build with it, or you can just turn your, whether it's Claude from Anthropic, you can turn that into your wallet if you want. Just give it, access to your wallet, and you can just chat with it, and it does everything on chain for you. And I think that what's really cool about this is suddenly as the MCP expands and it's open source. So if anybody has a use case they want to contribute to it, just go contribute to it. You can do it. Like if you build an app and you're like, oh, I would love it if somebody could interact with my app from an LLM, just add it to Base MCP and I can do it then chatting with my LLM that already has it installed. That's going to be another awesome distribution pathway for applications. So that's, I would say, like, it's relatively new. There's a little bit of hype about it a couple of weeks ago on like MCP generally on Twitter. I think that it's going to maybe cool off, but it's still going to be cooking in the background. So check that out.
And Pat, I know you answered this question a little bit already, but if there's any last thoughts?
Man, y'all haven't seen composability yet. Like this stuff excites me. That's my last thought.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so
Yeah.
I'm sure Mr. Coinbase Wallet over there has a lot to say that he can't either.
Sorry.
That's great. Okay, well, I won't take up too much more of your time. What I do want to say is if you haven't put your base name in the chat, please do that now. If you don't have a base name yet, go to base.org/name, I believe. Or just
Names with an
base.
S. Yeah.
We own both, I think. I think it'll redirect base.org.
Oh, you're up. We do own both.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the canonical one is name without the S. So I stand corrected.
I see. That's where I fucked up. All right, got it. So yeah, base.org/name/names, either works. Get your base name there. Also, feel free to DM me. I'm happy to help you get your base name after this. Statuette just posted the link right there. So go grab your base name and then put it right here into the chat, and I'll make sure that we retroactively give you a little POAP. And that's everything. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you don't have a base ENS yet, feel free to send your address or your ENS, and then I'll help you get a base name later on. If not, just use your base name, and I'll add that in. Thanks again, Eric, Pat, and Dylan, so much for joining us. This has been absolutely incredible. You guys are amazing. Could not have been a better session, and I can't wait to do it again.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Luciano. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.